السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be upon His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He deserves to be praised, praiseworthy. Last week we covered the conditions of a valid prayer. Who can repeat? First of all, who can tell me how many conditions are there? Tayyib, tell me what are the conditions of a valid prayer. I'll give you the first one, intention. Now we have 5 more. No, okay, what is wudu? We don't call it, we call it what? Ritual purity. Tayyib, yalla. We mentioned the intention, you gave me ritual purity. What else? What are the conditions of a valid prayer? The entrance of the prayer time. Tayyib. Facing Qibla. But purity, there is ritual purity and there is physical purity. Ritual purity, who can differentiate between ritual purity and physical purity? You know this. What's the difference between ritual purity and physical purity? Huh? No, last lesson I wasn't here. Last week I wasn't. Ritual purity is like performing wudu, performing ghusl. It's zawal of hadath, izalatul hadath. Physical purity is izalatul najasa. So if a person performed wudu, طيب, but let's say his cloth, his dasha or his garment, it has some urine. This person has achieved ritual purity, but he does not have physical purity. You know the difference now? طيب. So for example, you want to pray, you performed wudu, your garment is clean, your body is clean, but you performed prayer on a place that there is najasa. Here, in terms of ritual purity, you're on wudu, no problem. But you made your worship on a place that there is najasa. Here you did not achieve physical purity. طيب, let's say that your garment is clean, your physical body is clean, and the place of worship is clean, but you did not perform wudu. Here you have achieved physical purity, but you did not achieve ritual purity. So, repeating the intention, repeating the conditions of a valid worship: tahara, ritual purity, physical purity, facing the qibla, covering the awrah, and time, entrance of prayer time. So the one that we did not mention is covering the awrah. So 6, there's 6. طيب. I keep telling you I'll add the workbook in the group, and I leave here and I forget. طيب. Inshallah, for tomorrow, inshallah, I'll add the workbook in the group so they can revise. Because starting from this session, there are certain things that you just need to memorize. So this is the conditions of a valid prayer. So if a person did not complete these conditions, or he prayed with one of these conditions lacking, either he did not face the qibla, or he did not have intention, this is unlikely to happen, or intention could be, for example, he came to Dhuhr prayer, he woke up, he entered Jama'ah, and he on his mind that he's praying Asr. After finishing prayer, he realized he prayed Dhuhr. He said, so here the intention is lacking. His whole prayer is invalid. Okay, physical purity, ritual purity, we covered this. Covering the awrah. He performed his prayer wearing a short that is above the thighs. Let's remove all disputes, middle of the thigh. Okay, here his prayer is invalid. His prayer is invalid for a man. Or for a woman, she prayed without hijab, without covering her head. Without covering her head, her prayer is invalid. If she has reached people without covering her head, even if she's alone, you might be saying, Sheikh, she's alone in a room, no one sees her, but she prayed with her head uncovered, her prayer is invalid. Her prayer is invalid. Okay, covering awrah. Facing qibla, if a person prayed without facing proper qibla, without doing any ijtihad, without putting any effort in determining what the qibla is, his prayer is invalid. He has to repeat it. Yes.
The awrah for the woman, is the foot considered as awrah?
طيب, regarding awrah in prayer is different than awrah outside prayer. Okay, awrah in prayer. What did they agree upon? They agreed that the face is uncovered. The sunnah's face is uncovered. The rest of the body, everything should be covered. This is what they agreed upon, except two things. This is where they disputed: the hands and the feet. Some madhabs, like the Hanbali madhab, said no, both should be covered. The hands and the feet should be covered. If a woman prays while the hands and feet are uncovered, both of them uncovered or one of them uncovered, the prayer is invalid. This is the Hanbali madhab, strictest madhab in this matter. طيب, the hands, the matter, it's the Hanbali madhab is the only madhab that said it should be covered. But the feet, covering the feet, this is the opinion of the majority. Opinion of majority that the feet should be covered. Now when we say for the woman the feet should be covered, it doesn't mean that necessarily she should wear socks. But if she wears a long garment or abaya, and even when she does sujood, her feet are still covered, then khalas, no issues. She doesn't need to wear hijab. Yes, some madhabs will say covering the feet is not a condition. True, one madhab. But these things, a person should definitely protect his worship and act on what is safer. Act on what is safer. So the safest thing for a woman, she prays covering her feet, covering her hands. Covering her feet, covering her hands. Definitely, this is the safest thing. This is why it's important to know the dispute, so that at least I pick the safer opinion. طيب. Now we're going to talk about the pillars of prayer. The pillars of prayer. Yes?
When I'm praying alone, I pray with this, it crosses this, is this okay?
And we talked about... Yes, this is okay, inshallah. This is okay. This is covering even the knee and covering half of the... This is... We talked about women. She should cover feet, not men. Men, خلاص, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah. طيب. So we spoke about the conditions. These are the conditions. But now we want to talk about the pillars of prayer. Now, this is the most important section. Because if you do not know what are the pillars of prayer, you will always get sujood al-sahu wrong. Because in sujood al-sahu, depending on what you leave in prayer, the ruling will change. So conditions, we know them, there's 6. But the actions of worship, the actions of prayer, they are divided into preferred actions, obligatory actions, and pillars. Pillars are the things that you must do them. If you do not do them, if you forget, you have to go back and do them again. Obligations, you must do them. But if you forgot, then, and you do sujood al-sahu, this will suffice you. Preferred, mustahab, if you leave them, you're not, it's not considered a sin, but doing them is rewarding. طيب. So, pillars, things that you must do. If you forget any of the pillars, you have to go back to it and do it again. Even if you're going to be doing sujood al-sahu, you have to go back to the pillar if you forgot a pillar. Yes?
How can you go back and do it?
We'll explain this. We'll explain this now. طيب. Now this is what I said, pillars, you need to memorize them. Pillars are 14 actions in worship. Pillars are 14 actions in worship, you should memorize them. طيب, let's see if we can mention them by heart from the order. The first action, the first pillar of worship is what? Takbir al-ihram, excellent. Okay, takbir al-ihram. Second pillar, reciting Fatiha, yes. Third pillar, ruku', yes. طيب. Fourth pillar, rising from ruku', yes. Fifth pillar, before sujood, do we raise and then we go sujood, or we raise and then we stand up straight? لا, standing up straight. الاطمئنان آخر شيء. الاطمئنان في كل ركن. Standing up straight. طيب, what number did we reach? Standing up straight. This is 6th. طيب, then sujood. 7th. طيب, then rising from sujood. Okay, then, so we have 8. Now, rising then sujood, from sujood, then we do what? We sit. Don't we sit between two sit? We sit. Normal, not tashahhud, we're talking about normal sitting. طيب, we sit. So that's 9. Then, number 10. So, okay, we all it's repeated, and then? Tashahhud, Tashahhud, okay. Now, tashahhud, pay attention. Tashahhud, first of all, we have sitting for tashahhud. They consider this one pillar. Sitting for tashahhud. Then, reciting tashahhud, that's another pillar. طيب. Then, خلاص, we finished. Then what? The 2 taslimas. The 2 taslimas. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Pay attention, I said the 2 taslimas. The Hanbali madhab is the only madhab that says both taslimas are considered a pillar. That's why, if you remember, when we said for a person who comes late to prayer, what should he do? When should he stand up? After finishing what? Both taslimas. Remember, I always tell you, after finishing both taslimas, as in saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he doesn't stand up. Assalamu alaikum, still, wa rahmatullah. The imam finished, now you stand up. Some people, they feel that if they sit, their prayer is invalid. It's the opposite. If you sit, that is better. Until the imam finishes both taslimas, and then you stand up to come up with the what is late. The Hanbali madhab said it's an obligation to wait for both taslimas. Shafi'i said it is preferred to wait for both taslimas. But after the first taslima, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, if you stand up, in the opinion of the majority, your prayer is valid. طبعا in the Hanbali madhab, they will say no, because you have to wait for 2 taslimas. Again, you might be saying, Shaykh, okay, this dispute, take what is safer. Take what is safer. You're not going to lose anything. Wait until the imam finishes both taslimas, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, then stand up to complete your worship. So that's why here, when they mention the pillars, they mention both taslimas as one pillar. طيب. This is number 12. We have 2 more. The order of these pillars, so you do qiyam first and ruku', the order of this is another pillar. And number 14, اللي ذكرته, طمأنينة. طمأنينة, tranquility, which is being still, يعني standing still or doing ruku'. For example, if a person is reciting Fatiha, then he said Allahu Akbar for ruku'. If he does this directly, his ruku' is invalid. He didn't stay for one moment of time holding the position. Do you understand? So you hold your position at least for one moment for ruku'. Who can stand up and demonstrate? You want to stand up? طيب. Demonstrate doing ruku' without طمأنينة. So, يلا. أيوة. This is with, and not good. I didn't say I wasn't do this. So this is without طمأنينة. Okay? طيب, do it with طمأنينة, even for one moment. Yes, he held still, even for one moment. Then he went back. This is considered valid. Now the common thing is, سَقُوا سَمِعَ اللَّهُ مَنْ حَمِدَهُ. Stand up without even staying straight. هاي سهلة. We always see it. Okay? أيوة. You didn't stand still. You didn't wait for one moment. So you just moved like this, and then you went quick for sujood. So here, this is actually, some scholars said, the person who made a mistake in his prayer, and the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ said, صَلِّ فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَلِّ. He repeated this prayer 3 times. They said it's this. But he did not stop for this pillar. So this is stillness in every pillar. طيب, now we did 14. Who can count them back? 14. It's the actions that you do. يلا. بسم الله. أول واحد. تكبيرة الإحرام. الفاتحة. If he makes a mistake, you correct him. ركوع. Rising from ركوع. You just did it now. Rising from ركوع and then standing up straight. Standing up straight. طيب. Sujood.
Standing from
Rising from sujood. Okay.
then sitting,
Sitting between the 2 sajdas. لا, مرة واحدة خلاص. طيب.
then تشهد.
طيب, تشهد. Do you do tashahhud standing up or sitting down for tashahhud? See, they count sitting down for tashahhud a separate pillar. Okay. طيب. يلا, you have 4 more.
And then one taslima, but in the Hanbali madhab it's 2 taslimas.
2 taslimas, okay. We missed one. ها؟ He said this. قلت التشهد أنت قلته؟ طيب أوكي طيب. لا في هاي tricky one is sitting for final tashahhud, rising for final tashahhud. We said rising from sujood and then sitting between the two sajdas, and then we said sitting for final tashahhud, reciting final tashahhud. These two are different, and then the two taslimas.
Then
We have two more.
I think it's something before
Yeah, what is it? Order. خلاص, the order of the pillars. Huh? And then yes, الاطمئنان, tranquility in every pillar. In every pillar there is tranquility. So these are the 14. It's important to memorize them. That's why this workbook will be shared in the group. Most important, if you're not going to memorize anything except this is the most important thing. You might be saying why? Because when we talk about sujood al-sahw, people come and ask, Sheikh, I left ruku' or I left sujood. It depends. Your sujood al-sahw depends on what did you leave. If you left a pillar, you have to go back to that pillar. We're going to be talking about this. If you left an obligation or a mustahab, then sujood al-sahw will suffice. This is why it's important to differentiate between a pillar and an obligation. نعم. ليش 30 بلر؟ مرة اثنين. هو هذا في الصلاة كلها. طيب. Now these are the pillars. Now the obligations are 8. خلاص, you already memorized pillars. Look, what's easy is that once you memorize the pillars, and then we talk about obligations, you know that the obligations are not the pillars. The obligations, don't worry, it's a lower number, 8. The things that we did not mention, but they're considered obligations, what are they? All the takbirs. So the takbir for ruku', because just now we only mentioned takbir al-ihram. طيب, here all the other takbirs are considered obligations according to the Hanbali madhab, obligations. طيب, the other all tasbih, whether we're saying subhana rabbi al-azim, طيب, in ruku', no, they considered this separate. طيب, tasbih in subhana rabbi al-azim, saying in ruku', saying subhana rabbi al-azim. How many times is the obligation? لا, obligation is once. Obligation is once, it's an obligation that you do. And then if you do 2 or 3 times, that is mustahab. If you do 6, 7, mustahab. But number 1, once at least, this is the obligation. طيب, saying سمع الله لمن حمده. Huh? طيب, I have a question here. Who says سمع الله لمن حمده in Jama'ah? The Imam says سمع الله لمن حمده. طيب, what do you say? So the Imam says سمع الله لمن حمده. طيب, you do what? You say سمع الله لمن حمده also? لا, follower, what does he say? ربنا ولك الحمد. Okay? Because the Messenger Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he said إذا كبر الإمام فكبروا, وإذا قال سمع الله لمن حمده, نعم, لفظ الحديث. In the hadith itself, it's specified that if the Imam says سمع الله لمن حمده, the follower should say ربنا ولك الحمد. ربنا ولك الحمد.
It becomes an obligation.
It's an obligation, yes, it's an obligation. ربنا ولك الحمد is an obligation. For the Imam سمع الله لمن حمده is an obligation also. طيب. No, not mustahab. No, saying Amin. It's the mustahab is saying Amin. Amin. This is what's mustahab now. Both are mustahab now. We're talking mustahab now. What to say? طيب. Take it, will come. But concentrate on what we're teaching here. طيب. Saying Rabbi اغفر لي. Where do we say Rabbi اغفر لي? Between the two sajdas, while sitting down, between the two sajdas. طيب. The other obligation is the first tashahhud. Did we not say that tashahhud is a pillar? And now we're saying tashahhud is an obligation. كيف? لا. The final tashahhud in a prayer where there is a final tashahhud, this final tashahhud is a pillar. In a prayer where there is 2 tashahhud, the first tashahhud is considered an obligation. طب say, why did we differentiate يا أخي? We choose? لا. Remember when the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stood up and he didn't go back to the tashahhud. He stood up in a 4-unit prayer. He stood up after 2 units. He did not sit and he did not say the tashahhud. And then he didn't go back to it. He just, after finishing the prayer, he did what? Sujood sahu. He did sujood sahu. So this means he left it, he forgot, he left it. And then he was reminded, he continued his worship, and then he did sujood sahu. This shows us that in a prayer where there is 2 tashahuds, the first tashahud is an obligation. طيب. And of course, sitting for the first tashahud. Now there's something very important. Leaving obligations or pillars intentionally will invalidate the prayer. Just because it's an obligation doesn't mean you can leave it intentionally. So we said the first tashahhud is an obligation or pillar. Obligation. So if it's an obligation, does that mean a person can leave it intentionally? If he leaves it intentionally, his prayer is invalid. طيب, then when you just said that the messenger left it, he left it sahwan, in a state of forgetfulness. He did not leave it intentionally. Obligation means yes, you have to do it, but if you forgot it, you can just do sujood sahu. So let's say, for example, you did ruku', you did not say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, not even once. But then you said Sami Allah min hamid, and you remembered. You don't need to go back. Just continue your worship. Sahwan, you forgot. You forgot. You left it. You forgot. You continue your worship, and then you can do sujood sahu. Of course, this is based on the Hanbali madhab. Yes.
What if someone, for example, forgot to say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim in a jama'ah, and after the prayer, should he do sujood sahu?
Good. In a jama'ah, the imam takes responsibility for all the obligations. That's why you say, Yakhi, pick an imam. People don't understand this. Choose an imam who knows the rulings of prayer, because all the responsibility is on the imam. That's why, in Awqaf, for example, an imam, they don't just, if a person has a beautiful voice reciting Quran, hafiz of the Quran, but he's ignorant of the rulings, he doesn't pass the test. They always test him on this. They test him in sujood sahu, always. And some, subhanAllah, if they did not study fiqh, they fail. Even if he has hafiz of the Quran and beautiful recitation, still, because there are certain rulings in imam specifically, an imam should be aware of. الإمام should be aware of. ها؟ أكيد صرت أقول لك حافظ القرآن أكيد هاي خلها. هاي مسألة ثانية. طيب نقولها الحين أو بأي وقتها. We'll explain. Yes. Yes.
Many times we see there is second imam going on after the main imam.
Yeah.
So when we enter, we see that, but can we join them? We don't know who is that person.
After, you mean second jama'ah?
Mosque we always see. So we don't know the person who is.
لا usually if a person خلاص he went forward. First of all, if you're 2 people, طيب, we're talking about normal jama'ah imam ratib. First of all, imam ratib, every day, every prayer he's going to be an imam. This he should be knowledgeable of his worship. But let's say you're 2 brothers, 3 brothers, you came into the masjid, you were late. Pray jama'ah. And who's the imam? The one who's most knowledgeable. Even if all of your knowledge is the same, khalas, one of you goes forward. Okay? Don't be too harsh on yourself. Because here, khalas, they said if they're all lacking, they're all in the same level. They're all in the same level, khalas, one of them be an imam. Because to get the reward of jama'ah. To get the reward of jama'ah. Because your prayer is the same, aslan. Khalas, to get the reward of jama'ah. Because these things are rare that will occur. That's why you're attending now. You're attending now, alhamdulillah, you're listening. You will know more. So next time you go say, I'll be imam. طيب. So these are we'll go over them again. Even the obligations, we'll go over them again. But just now, real quick. Leaving obligations or pillars intentionally, we said it will invalidate the prayer. Conditions and pillars are not pardoned if forgotten, then remembered. Conditions and pillars, if a person left a condition, he prayed without tahara, or he left a pillar, he forgot to do 1 sajda, and then he remembered, we cannot say that no problem, if you forgot. You have to go back, or if you remembered after prayer, your whole prayer is invalid. Yes, it's not any pillars. No, it's different. Pillars and conditions are different. Here, a person is pardoned if the obligations are forgotten or left out due to ignorance. But he forgot, it's an obligation, he forgot, or he's ignorant of the ruling. He didn't know that saying Rabbi Ighfirli, for example, between the two sajdas is an obligation. He forgot, he doesn't know. Plus, it's due to his ignorance, it's considered his pardon for this. طيب. Now let's go back to the pillars again. The pillars again. The first pillar, subhanAllah. That's why you always get the numbering wrong. The first pillar is what? Not ihram takbir. Standing up. How did we miss this? Standing up is the first pillar. That's why you always get the count one missing. Standing up is the first pillar. Yes?
First pillar I thought is facing the Kaaba.
No, that's a condition. Conditions are before the worship.
But this pillar standing up is only for the person who can.
Yeah, that's why we're saying it's a pillar for you to stand up. That's why if you're able to stand up in an obligatory prayer, not sunnah, nafil, you can pray sitting down even if you're able, but you get half the reward. But in an obligatory prayer, it's a must that you stand up. If you did not stand up and you were able to stand up, your prayer is invalid. Why is your prayer invalid? Because standing up is a pillar. So in the 14th, this is the one that we mix up. Standing up. Before Takbir al-Ihram, standing up. It's easy if you think about it. Khalas. If you do your prayer, what's the first thing that you do? You stand up. Stand up. Khalas. Now, standing up is considered a pillar in the obligatory prayers. A person may pray the obligatory prayer sitting down if he was unable to pray standing up or was in so much pain that prevents concentration in prayer. So some people say, طيب Sheikh, how do I know if I must stand up? I just did, for example, surgery in my stomach. And I can stand up for a couple of seconds. But more than this, I get pain. You say, no, you said pray while sitting down. Because this, Allah Azza wa Jal does not overburden. He said, but I can't stand up. No. This case, yes, you can. But this pain here, which is affecting your concentration, is considered an excuse for you to pray sitting down. So he'll say, okay, I'll pray sitting down. But ruku', you say, I can stand up for ruku'. If he can stand up for ruku' without any problems, then he should stand up for ruku'. If he can't, same issue, he does ruku' while sitting down. It's understood? But this is when we say standing up is a pillar in prayer. And when we say causing pain, doesn't mean, today I walked a lot. I walked 3 kilometers, so I want to pray sitting down. La, your prayer is invalid. Okay? Some people I see more than one masjid. He walks from the buildings all the way to the front of the masjid to take a chair. And then he walks back all the way. I said, he was able to walk all this distance. And he takes a chair and he walks all the way back. And then he prays sitting down. No way is this prayer valid. Unless sunnah or preferred, no problem. Who had the question here? Why هذا معنى قوموا لله قائت. نعم. Sitting down on chair or sitting down on the ground, both things, same. طيب. This is standing up. تكبيرة الإحرام.
Sometimes when praying, you forget how many rakats you have prayed. So what do you do then?
You base on what you know. First of all, if you do not remember at all, خلاص. You build on what is certain. So for example, you say, did I pray 2 or did I pray 1? What are you certain? You're certain of 1. خلاص, you build on it.
So if, let's say I prayed 2, but I do not remember, if I still pray 1 more.
Yeah, because here, that's why we say we build on what is certain. What is certain. Now you have no idea how much you paid. Through 2 or 1, you don't know. Let's say it happens that somebody saw you praying 2. But you said, خلاص, I'm in doubt. Let me say I prayed 1 and I build on it. I pray another one. خلاص, no problem. Your prayer is valid. Even though then after you finish, someone tells you, you prayed 3 units. You say, خلاص, you don't need to repeat. Okay? Because you built it on what is certain. Yes?
You need to pray sahwi in this.
Sujood sahwi, you mean?
Yes.
two sujood for sahu, yes. After finishing, you pray you do two sujood of sahu. Okay? Any questions?
Okay, yeah, in between the two sajda, instead of saying Rabbi Ighfirli, if you say Rabbi Ighfirli wali walidayya wal mu'minina.
لا. Here you say the specific, either Rabbi Ighfirli or Rabbi Ighfirli warhamni, the other one. But stick to Rabbi Ighfirli, it's more correct. Yani, Rabbi Ighfirli. Okay? Because here it's not a place for any dua. It's a place for this specific statement, Rabbi Ighfirli. Sujood, you can do dua as much as you want. Sujood is different. Yes. ايه اول حديث هذا ما حد عمل به.
What is the difference between Rabbi Ighfirli or Allah?
No, because these are specific what the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Just like saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Why do we say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim here and say Subhana Rabbi al-Ala? It's specific to what the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Okay? طيب. Now, Takbirat al-Ihram. What is important regarding Takbirat al-Ihram? And we always mention it. The condition of Takbirat al-Ihram is that it... Yes.
The hand has to be raised.
La. This is not a condition. This is preferred. Even if you did not raise, let's say, you should. But if you did not raise your hands and you said Allahu Akbar, valid, no problem. You left Sunnah. But what is the problem if you do Takbirat al-Ihram? Huh? La. Okay, we always mention Takbirat al-Ihram should be said. We start making up things now. No, I mentioned this, ya akhi. Aywa, ahsant, standing up straight. I always repeat this. Takbirat al-Ihram should be said standing up straight. You might be saying, Lish, when do you say it? Come look at the people praying when the Imam is in ruku'. They run and then they jump into ruku'. You say, did this person say Allahu Akbar aslan? You get my point? So this is we always remember people when the Imam is doing ruku', even if you did one takbirah, this should be takbirat al-ihram. And you must, all madhab say it standing up straight. Allahu Akbar. And then it's preferred to do another takbir. But even if you left the other takbir, no problem, it's valid. But the first takbir, Allahu Akbar, is takbirat al-ihram and should be said while standing up straight. That's why they say, for takbirat al-ihram, it's a must to say it while standing up straight. ها؟ لا هو خلاص انت قاعد واقف وقاعد تقول كيف بتقول الله اكبر؟
What is the second takbir?
No, this is for a person who's late. The second takbir is for the ruku'. Okay? طيب, this is the same thing if the imam is doing sujood, for example. Some people don't understand this. If the imam is in sujood, if you want to join him, first of all, if you come and the imam is in sujood, do you wait? لا, the sunnah is to join him. And this sujood, you go do dua. You came to the masjid to pray. طيب, join the imam and do dua. طيب, the question is, how do you join him? Same thing, stand up straight, say Allahu Akbar. Takbirat al-ihram, then go down for sujood. Yes. Yes, if there is no one, join. Bismillah. Huh? Even the last rak'ah. If there is no one, you join. Halas, join. Yeah, because this is where they said the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, join the imam in whatever situation he is. He is in sujood, you join him in sujood. He is in ruku', you join him in ruku'. He is in the last unit, in tashahhud, you join him wherever he is. And the madhab even says that if you do one takbir with the imam, then khalas, you have gotten the reward of jama'ah. Even the hadith mentions if you were late, you came in, and you found them saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you get the reward of jama'ah because you had the intention and you acted on this and you walked, you get the reward for this. Don't worry. The reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. So the takbirat al-ihram should be said standing up. Now, reciting Fatiha. We're not going to take too much time. So we covered standing up straight. We covered takbirat al-ihram. Reciting Fatiha, let's cover this. Someone asked me here. Reciting Fatiha. Who asked me about reciting? Who asked me about reciting Fatiha? Someone here asked. أنت. طيب. Reciting Fatiha for the... Okay, first of all, reciting Fatiha is a pillar. For whom? For the imam. Or a person praying by himself. Person praying by himself, it's a pillar. طيب. This is clear. What about the follower? Here is where all the issues are. مش اختلاف بس إن شاء الله there's a good answer.
I think in Maghrib and Isha and Fajr, like you don't need to read the Fatiha. But in,
For the follower,
yeah,
like we'll talk about this now. For the follower, if the Imam recited it, you don't need to recite. Yeah, for example, the Imam is reciting in a prayer where he recites out loud, like Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha. In the first units in Maghrib and Isha, the Imam recites Fatiha. You listen. طيب, you might be saying, كيف the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ said that any prayer without sort of is invalid. The Fatiha is recited. The Imam recited it. طيب, that's why the madhabs, they say this. The only madhab that said no, you recite it even if quick, is the Shafi'i madhab. They say, even if the Imam, after the Imam finishes, recite it quickly. The Shafi'i. But Imam Ahmad said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. Imam Ahmad said هذه بالإجماع في الصلاة. يعني الإمام is reciting Quran, your obligation is to listen. Not to recite, to listen. So that's why they said if the Imam is reciting, you stay silent and your obligation is to listen to the Imam, listen to the Quran. Because they said this, what's the point? You're reciting, the Imam is reciting. For whom is the Imam reciting? For you to contemplate and ponder. So you, behind the Imam, خلاص, you just listen. طيب, and no problem. In ruku', and yeah, no problem. خلاص. That's why Surah Al-Fatiha, they say, some scholars say it's an obligation, some scholars say it's a pillar. But they all four madhabs, they say if you join the Imam ruku' without reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, all four Imams, they say you don't need to go back. Not only four Imams, even most of the scholars, even outside the four madhabs. Yes?
I heard so many people telling that when you pray, if you don't touch Surah Fatiha, then your prayer is invalid.
Okay, if you're praying by yourself, yes. But behind the Imam, he recited Surah Al-Fatiha. This is where the dispute is. But first of all, you understood here? Yeah. So behind the Imam, the majority, except for the Shafi'i madhab, they say if the Imam is reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, you listen. And then he's reciting something else, you listen to the recitation. You don't need to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. You're with him in prayer. The third unit, fourth unit, silent prayers, no, you recite Surah Al-Fatiha for yourself. You recite Surah Al-Fatiha for yourself. Okay? Who had the question?
I was going to ask you this.
Same thing? Bye.
The third and fourth rak'ah, it is mandatory for us to recite?
Some madhab said even no, but Hanbali madhab said yes, because it's a unit and you did not recite Surah Al-Fatiha. So you should definitely recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Third and fourth. Yeah? Because no one is reciting. So Imam, now silent prayer. Yes, some madhab said even in any unit, yes. But the Hanbali madhab here said no. The Imam here is not reciting for everyone. He recited for himself. Silently. So you also recite for yourself. This is the best thing. This is the middle madhab, middle way. The Imam recited Fatiha, silent prayer, you also recite. Safest thing. And more reward, definitely. طيب.
After reciting Surah Fatiha, if Imam is speaking both times, third and fourth rak'ah, so what we can pray any other?
No, sunnah is to stay silent. Stay silent. Yeah, stay silent. Third and fourth unit should be shorter than the first and second unit, anyways. طيب. We'll cover ruku' and then we'll finish, inshallah. For ruku', what is the least? Okay, first of all, pillar number 4 is ruku'. What is the considered ruku'? Stand up. Show me. Wait, before. Stand up straight. Bow, as soon as your hands touches your knees, stop. Bas. Stand up straight. Yani, put your hands straight. As soon as they touch your knees, you stop. Bas. This is considered ruku'. If you did this is ruku', but not the sunnah. The sunnah is do full ruku'. Yes, your back is straight, and your hands are clenching on your knees. This is the sunnah. But as soon as a person is bowing, this is considered ruku'. You might be saying, why do we say what is considered ruku'? Because again, Imam is doing ruku'. And a person asks you, did you do ruku' before the Imam says Sami Allahu liman hamida? And a person said, yes, my hands touched my knees But still, I did not go all the way. But surely, for sure, my hands touched my knees before the Imam said, Sami Allahu liman hamida. In this case, we say, khalas, then you did ruku' before he stood up straight. You understand? Even if he did not say, Subhana Rabbil Azim, not even once. But you did ruku' before him standing up straight, then you have caught that pillar and you have caught that unit. Yes?
Yeah, but he's doing ruku' with a flat back and like.
This is sunnah. But if a person did like this and his hands touched his knees, it's considered a valid ruku'. There's a difference between me saying valid, jaiz, and mustahab sunnah. Sunnah, completely straight. طيب. Here, so this is, if you bow down and your hands touch your knees, it's considered a valid ruku'. But the sunnah, the way that he showed me, back straight, okay, with your hands touching your knees and hands are clenching on the knees. طيب. طيب. Yes. He did tamanina. He caught, he stayed. Still, the Imam saying, Sami Allahu liman hamid, he's still there. He caught, but your question is, when did you catch your knees? Before the Imam saying, Sami Allahu liman hamid, he didn't go back up, he's still in ruku'. He's not going to go back until the Imam says, Sami Allahu liman hamida, then he'll go back. Yeah, my point. طيب. Any questions? طيب. خلاص. With this we will end. For revision, this workbook inshallah will be in the group. Go over it, revise it, so that next week inshallah we'll continue inshallah talking about the pillars. So it's good if you went over it and revised it. هذا huh? Test, yes. But if we say test, they don't come. طيب.